I was listening to a Durian Writer's podcast, and it just made me realize how much I'm slacking on the YouTube content. And a lot of times I think about, doing a video about this or doing a video about that, and then I don't really do the long form ones where you talk because I'm like, well, I got to think about what I'm going to say, blah blah blah. But I have a few things on my mind because there's a lot going on right now. There is the divisive elections. There's a blood moon, which could have some kind of astrological implications. Not that I'm really that into that, but it does seem like there's something to it. There's the crypto markets crashing, the fiat markets crashing. There's just a lot of uncertainty in the air. And, During Ryder talks a lot about you got to have your carbs to keep sort of at a mental level. And it's so interesting because it's so against the current. If you're on Twitter, so many people are just talking about how you shouldn't do carbs, you shouldn't do any sugar, you need to do keto, you need to do this bulletproof coffee or this stimulant. And I feel when I do during Ryder's regimen, I feel better. And I don't always stick to it to a T, actually. In fact, I'm not 100% anything. But I don't eat a lot of meat, very rarely actually. But I can't say that I'm 100% vegan or something like that. But I just really respect his regimen because when I cut down on the coffee and instead I make the banana smoothie and I get that good feeling from the banana smoothie, it's not as jolting as a coffee, but then you're not going to come down as much, like you do with a coffee. So I feel better when I do a good banana smoothie and I do a lot of fruits. And so many people are like, oh, you shouldn't do fruits, you shouldn't do this. And I find myself being like, no, I can do the bananas, I can do the this and that. And actually, my weight right now isn't good. But that's not because I've been doing the regimen to the T. It's other things like I haven't been exercising as much as I want to lately. Just energy stuff. But I feel like it will get better. But anyways, I'm kind of going over a few things that are on my mind. Another thing that's been on my mind is like the crypto markets. And I was thinking about how there's a lot of people on YouTube that talk about cryptos. You should get this platform, that platform, crypto.com, BlockFi, Celsius, FTX, And, I've been into, crypto stuff for a while now. I bought my first Bitcoin in 2014. It wasn't a whole Bitcoin, not like a Bitcoin, but some Bitcoin. But I often thought, oh, maybe I can make money like talking about crypto, and having links up and this and that, like what a lot of people do. But the reason I'm not comfortable doing that is because I don't want to, if there's something I'm not 100% about, and then somebody invests in it and then it crashes or something, I don't want to feel responsible for that. You know what I mean? Even if there's like people that come to me about questions about investing and stuff like that, I say, just know that it could always crash to nothing. You know what I mean? And I don't want you to blame me if something happens. I don't want to be liable in that way. Because I think about, I almost signed up for Celsius. You know what I mean? My brother signed up for Celsius and lost money. You know what I mean? And I was, I've signed up for FTX. I mean, FTX is probably going to do fine because, Binance is buying it or whatever. But, I was in BlockFi and I got scared when all that stuff happened, when they were they accidentally gave people money and, millions of dollars because they gave it in Bitcoin instead of the amount of dollars. And when you make those kind of mistakes, I was just like, oh, it made me a little nervous about having my money in BlockFi, And now, Jimmy Song was saying, oh, he thinks crypto.com's next. Well, I use crypto.com, so it's like, I don't know if I'd want to do a commercial for crypto.com if I'm not 100% certain. And, I was very confident about crypto.com, but like 2 years ago, I remember when they had the MCO token, and they just took that down all of a sudden, and they switched to Crowcoin, and I had a bunch of that locked up, and it just like it sort of made me feel like that I didn't have control or something like that, Not because it was staked, but just because they were changing the currency, and so that made me feel kind of like, well, I guess all of this is a risk, and so I'm not going to sit here and tell people what to invest in. I think that Bitcoin is an important strategy, though, and I think it's important. Um, but I think that eventually, I like crypto.com because you can use the card in the way that you use a Visa card or whatever, and you can use it all over the world, I guess. So, but I don't know. I'm not 100% certain on anything. So, I've just become a little bit more like, when I think about it, it's like all these platforms, eventually you're supposed to be getting your Bitcoin onto a ledger or whatever. Anyway, that's like the ultimate goal. So, also, I've seen a lot of people arguing back and forth between CBDCs, the central bank digital currencies, and I'm confused as to whether Ripple is part of that or not when people are talking about CBDCs. I believe that Ripple seems to have a future. I believe that, but for me, I don't fit in with the people that are like, either they're saying like only Bitcoin or they're making fun of Bitcoin. I just believe like I'm gonna have a little of this, a little of that, and I don't want to get into fucking arguments about it. I don't want my life to revolve around crypto. I just want to have it as a store of wealth, right? But I'm more interested in music, and I'm more interested in exercising and feeling good. I'm not interested in, being online 10 hours a day and researching crypto. You know what I mean? I do like to hear what people have to say, but I think that you have to be really careful with a lot of the crypto influencers because they are getting paid money to shill for organizations. And it's like, how much of it is your actual opinion or how much of it is you're getting paid? And, I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to be controversial, but I'm just saying, I'm not one of those people that wants to be like, hey, link down below, get this and that. One thing I do a link for is InstaWork, because it's just a thing where you can get work, and sometimes I go and do jobs. I've done some jobs at a convention center. I did a job at Walgreens. I'm going to go do a job at a place that makes some kind of card game, just like all kinds of stuff, And before the pandemic, I had a full-time job somewhere, and I don't want to go back to that kind of thing where it's like full-time work at some place I don't like to be every day. So I would rather do temp work and just do different stuff and not be under the control of one place, especially because I want to, my music's what's really important to me, and I want to get my message out that way. So anyway, I don't know if I'm going all over the place, but I'm just trying to say that there's a lot going on right now, and there's a lot about voting. I don't know if voting matters or not. A lot of people say it's important to vote. A lot of people say that, it's too corrupt of a system and it doesn't matter either way. I haven't decided, where I stand with it. But I think if you want to vote, it's good to vote and feel like you're doing something. But I just don't really know at this point. And I just know that the system's quite corrupt. Anyway.